Welcome back to the Deep Cover Podcast, talking Dynasty today. I'm going to do a Dynasty Flyer series, breaking down each position, some guys that can offer you some appeal. On the lower end, this time of year is very quiet, so you can find those kind of quiet edges with some of the guys I'm going to break down. Starting at quarterback, looking around the league, half the teams in the league could stand to bring in some kind of competition at quarterback. And then when you look at the draft class being less than heralded, you look at cap restraints around the league, and it led me to a couple of guys that are free agents: Marcus Mariota, Mitchell Trubisky. Both of these guys kind of flamed out as first round picks, but are doing the career rebrand thing as backups and have been mentioned as guys that could get an opportunity to compete for a starting job in 2022. So the calling card here is going to be mobility with both of these guys. They are players that could average 20 to 30 yards rushing next year, maybe even more if they land into a situation where the coaching staff prioritizes their mobility. And we know what that does for QB's floor from a fantasy standpoint. So looking at a few teams, Washington is a team that has their own picks. They have the cap space to absorb an Aaron Rodgers, a Deshaun Watson, a Russell Wilson. But they aren't a team that's been mentioned on these players kind of leaked wish list. So more practical option for them could be to bring in a Trubisky, to bring in a Mariota, and draft a quarterback and have one of these two guys serve as the bridge to that quarterback. Carolina Panthers, another team, they kind of unnecessarily boxed themselves in with picking up that Sam Darnold fifth-year option. So they'd have to pay someone to take on his contract, which isn't going to work very well with them because they're kind of asset poor at this point because they've given up a pick to acquire Darnold. They've given up another pick to acquire C.J. Henderson. So a more practical approach for them would be to just flat out draft a quarterback at that first round pick, or to bring in a guy like Trubisky or Mariota as competition for Darnold. So that's a situation where they have weapons in place, and it could be an interesting landing spot for one of these guys. A couple other spots, Green Bay Packers. If they move on from Aaron Rodgers, you have Jordan Love in the fold, but he hasn't shown a lot when we've seen him play. Mariota is a guy that has history with LaFleur from their time in Tennessee. He could be an option there. And then the Giants, they brought in Brian Daboll as the head coach, and Trubisky was just with him last year in Buffalo. He's a guy that has experience in the system. They could bring in as the backup, and if Daniel Jones falters in any way, then Trubisky could be right there to kind of pick up that slack. So interesting Flyers who offer some variance to the back end of your roster. 9 times out of 10, you won't get anything out of either one of these guys, but it's a chance they might hit, and if they hit, then you have a starting quarterback on your team for the cheap. So be on the lookout for more of these Flyer series. We're going to break down other positions. In the meantime, like, rate, subscribe, and I will catch you on the other side.
These my dollars make it hurt.